Good evening, everybody. Happy Friday. One of my favorite days. Happy Friday. Every day is a favorite day, but happy Friday. It is just a blessing to be here before you once again to share with you, to bring to you some things from my guest, from myself, from the viewers. And I say from the viewers because we really encourage you to talk back to us, to share with us, to ask questions, to leave comments, right? It's so helpful not only for us but for the other viewers, and especially those who may come back to watch the replay. So we ask that you just get involved, be a part of this discussion, because that's what it is. But I want to start out by saying who I am. My name is Tamara Johnson. I am the founder of this amazing business. Of course, I'm going to say it's amazing, but I'm the founder of Make It Rise, rebuild intentionally and strategically for effectiveness. And our mission, our vision is to create a movement where we're changing the view of how society has defined marriage. And I am going to say it yet again, because I said every time that I come on and it's one of these, we're talking about divorce, because it can be a little confusing, and I understand that. But I'm happy to explain that yes, I am a healthy marriage advocate. However, we are doing a series on divorce, on life after divorce, not on divorce. So let me be clear. Let's be clear, pun intended. Let me be clear right there. I am not an advocate for divorce, right? But what I am advocating for are the individuals, specifically the women. That's who God has given me to serve. I am here to serve the woman that has been divorced, that is going through divorce, who is broken, right? Who is having issues, having problems, who is hurt, right? Who may be embarrassed. All of those things that come with that terrible traumatic experience called divorce. That is what I am here to do. And so on this platform, let's be clear, the series, let's be clear, Life After Divorce, I've had some women on, and now I have the men that are coming on to talk about where they are at today and where they were, right? So I'm saying it's Life After Divorce from the men's lens. And I think it's so important that we hear what the men are saying, because society has made them feel like their opinion doesn't count, and that they shouldn't have an emotion, right? I was speaking with a gentleman earlier today, and we were agreeing that emotions don't have a gender. Emotions do not have gender, right? So you feel what you feel, but someone has told them that, or asked them, are you a man or are you a mouse, right? Someone has told them to shh, be quiet. Someone has said, you don't show how you feel. Someone said, you don't say how you feel, right? And I'm here with them to say that's a lie, right? That is a lie, because when we do that, what we're doing is stifling our growth, and we are holding in things that are going to suppress who God truly designed us to be. And so we can't be the best version of ourselves if we aren't giving ourselves permission to let all of that stuff out. This has been a crazy week for me, a very crazy week for me, but I pushed through, right? And I found myself earlier on doing the unhealthy coping thing that I commonly talk about. Unhealthy coping. Do not unhealthily cope. Make sure you're talking to someone. Make sure that you are giving yourself permission to feel. Make sure that you are saying, okay, this is where I am, right? Like, know your location. Admit that that's where you're at. Admit that this is how it's making you feel, but have a mission and have a goal, right? And when we have a goal, sometimes we do not prepare to get there. We don't prepare to get there. And when I say that, I mean, like, we're not creating a plan so that we can get through this thing, right? We cannot stay stuck. Somebody is depending on you. Someone is counting on you to share, to give, to be all that you need to be, right? One thing that I always say is that your or our transparency can be someone's road to recovery, right? My transparency is someone's road to recovery. So if I'm speaking to someone who is experiencing something that I have experienced or they will experience, I'm helping them in that area. And so this platform is just to encourage you, the viewers, to like and share, because some things that are going to be said on here tonight and the previous shows and the shows to come are for you. It may be for a friend. It may be for someone down the line. But please, 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 we are asking that you like and share these videos. So last week we had a gentleman on, Mr. Devon Roboto. He talked about, getting counseling, right? Counseling is one of those things that our community has told us is a no-no. You don't want to go see the shrink. You don't want to tell your business, right? That goes back into what I was saying earlier about sharing, getting these things out, but getting them out with the right people, right? So I will stand and say, I'm sitting. So I will sit and say that you have to be wise with whom you're sharing things with. You don't share everything with everyone. So that's a process in itself. But he talked about the growth that he received as a result of going to counseling. And the great part about that was not that he and his ex-wife didn't make it, but the work that he did and the information he received in those sessions, he's able to use them today in his current marriage and as a father. And the things that he shared was amazing. So you guys make sure you go back to last week's show and catch that. But tonight, we have another young man that's on that is going to speak some amazing things in regards to his life after divorce. And our topic tonight is trusting and understanding the meaning of God's process. And I'm going to bring him on and allow him to introduce himself to you guys however he wants to do that. But please, 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 again, like, share, comment, ask questions. But I'm going to bring Mr. David Adams in to be with us. Hey there, Mr. Adams.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. So as usual, I always thank my my guests that come on, and so this is not anything different tonight. I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for coming on and being a part of the show. And what I always say is that when you say yes to being on the show and you actually show up, you have just become a partner with me to share with the world what God is saying in regards to the topic that we are going to talk about tonight, right? This is my foundation is a Christian foundation based, but I'm not super churchy. We're not so heavily bound that we're no earthly good. So I ask that you just keep it all the way real, right? This is my show. Mi casa is su casa. Come on here, give us your truth, right? Because your transparency is going to be someone's road to recovery. We are not here to bash anyone. I say this all the time. It's not about bashing an individual. It's about helping those who need the help in the areas that in which we're talking about. So, David, share a little bit about yourself with the viewers.
Gosh, I'm a good guy.
You're what? You're what?
I'm a good guy. I'm a good guy. You're somebody who wanted a good life, and I went from playing football to raising a family and trying to get a good job. So it's always been a challenge, So I'm 55. Don't mind sharing that. I have a 7-year-old son that I have to be transparent for, so he can see how to be the man that I become. I'm a maintenance tech by trade. I love the water, the ocean. I love fishing in the ocean.
You sound like you trying to give your rundown.
No. You said share something about me. So that's me. I love fishing and I love the NFL.
Got it. Look, but all of that, you're gonna save that for so we got an event that's coming up where we're gonna have singles. Gotcha. So yeah.
You funny. No, I'm just excited to share my a little short story of what this life has been.
Absolutely. Awesome. So, well, thank you once again for coming on and sharing. So I'm just going to jump right on in there. Our topic tonight is talking about trusting and understanding the meaning of God's process, the meaning of God's process. Sorry about that. But I want to start by asking you, how long were you married, and then how long have you been divorced?
We were married for 5 years, and now it's going on 2 years.
Okay, going on 2 years divorced.
Yeah.
Okay, and so when I first asked you to be a guest on the show, and then I said, tell me something that you would want to share with the audience um, for life after divorce, and you said to trust and understand God's process, right? Why did you choose that? Why was that so important? One of the things that stood out for you?
Because if you don't, the struggle's going to be that much harder and that much longer.
If you don't trust God, the process, if you don't trust the process and understand, yeah,
It'll make it a long, hard journey
yeah,
if you don't,
it's
because
journey is hard, yeah.
you're going to be battling them two people again, the old you and the new you.
Mm. So in the process of understanding and trusting God, there's the two of you is what I hear you saying pretty much. It's the old you and the new you, the person that you are becoming.
Yeah, one telling you to say foul words and be evil, and the other person telling you to, you know what, we can do this. Let's get over this and let's get going with the new journey.
Okay. So this sound real personal, and that's good because you said one's giving foul words. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, wait a minute.
No, because when something happened to you and you don't want it, then you become defensive.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I not be just this defensive person? Because mind you, I told you I have a 7-year-old watching me.
Absolutely.
So now I have to make a decision. Which way am I going to go with this?
Right.
So
Right.
when
And
you
then
understand, when you trust, and it makes it that much easier.
absolutely, absolutely. But was it challenging? Because as a divorcee, I've been divorced going on. It'll be 3 years. So as a divorcee, I know that immediately for me, I didn't understand and trust. And one thing that I said earlier today was sometimes you have to trust God before you understand God. I'll say that
Mm-hmm.
again because we oftentimes want to understand why to what's
Right.
going on before we begin to trust. And God is saying, I just need you to trust me. And many times we will not even understand what he's doing, right? That's not really our main focus. Our main focus should be to trust him, regardless to what it looks like. So was it challenging, or were you able to immediately just trust God and understand what was going on?
No, it was a difficult decision. I'm gonna tell you because without going into too many personal things, it's you you watch a person go into another relationship. You now you're left with, I was left with the children, so I had to be that foundation.
Yeah.
Even though she came to check on the children, it's still, what do I do? I'm a mess. How am I going to do this?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I can't listen to everybody that's in my ear because they're, you don't want to make it take a side.
Yeah.
So the only person that's going to tell me how to act and feel how, I should be acting was God. And I
Mm-hmm.
just had to just start praying. And, I leaned on my sister, and my sister told me, you figure it out when you learn how to be quiet and just listen because he's trying to tell you something.
Mm. That's a lesson right there. That's a lesson right there. Just
And
being quiet and opening your heart and opening your mind, opening the vessels, opening the tube for him to get his message in, right? It's so important. And I know that for me, when going through my divorce, I will be honest, like I was quiet. I had to be quiet because my concern was losing everything that I had, because I know that I can just snap. I knew that I could go there, but I immediately, the things that popped in my head were my kids, my ministry, my job. Those things began to ring a bell in I couldn't afford to, right, do the things that flesh wanted to do. I had to get quiet and hear God. And so that's what I chose to do. But my question to you is, even in the midst of that, did you attempt to cover up your lack of trust and your lack of understanding? Because you're a man, right? So as a man, from what I'm told, as a man and what I've seen and heard, you're told that you are tough. You cannot show emotions, right? You cannot cry. You cannot say that you don't know how to do it. You don't. So you're saying you have the kids, and it's like, okay, now what do I do, right? Now what?
Couple of late night walks. I ain't got no story. A couple of half a pints.
Yeah.
And tears in the shower. Everything, just kids won't see me. Even though I was still, some things you just can't help. It's just gonna come out. So it wasn't until I be quiet, start listening, when the healing process started. Now, once you start healing, then the strength come back. Now I can actually watch everything that I don't like.
Yeah.
Go ahead. It doesn't faze me anymore.
Right.
Now I have another obligation, is to be strong for these children. Most of all, understand that word. Understand what God is actually trying to tell me and show me. Another journey is going to happen. Then the doors start opening. Then the opportunities start coming.
Yeah.
If you don't, he ain't finna fix that. You a mess. Why would he fix a mess? You're just gonna walk all over it and it ain't gonna mean nothing.
That's good. That's good. I like that you shared, that, because my next question was going to be covering up your lack of trust, your lack of understanding. Like, what did that look like in action? And what you just shared is that what that looked like in action was you taking walks, was you having drinks, was you getting in the shower crying, trying to cover all those things up from your children, which was most important, right? And as you shared, but there's still some things that kind of seep out, and the children see. Example, just last night, as I shared earlier, this has been a very challenging week for me, and I've, had to go through some things or what have you, and still trying to manage home life, work life, all those things. And my daughter, she sent me a message today, and she said, "Mom, I was going to ask you if I could go to the mall, after school, but you didn't look well." And and that right there told me it was just my body language. It was just her knowing me, because we have great conversation. We talk all the time, right? I felt like I was still doing what I normally did, but she saw it. So it's so important for us to cope in a healthy way, right? Be okay with where you're at. This is my location, right? And not try to cover it up with all of the stuff, because now we're not giving ourselves permission to deal with what we need to deal with so that we can begin to heal. And as you said about healing, it wasn't until you began the healing process. It wasn't until you got healed, because many people want to wait until they can say I'm healed before they begin to do some work. No.
That's a long process. Long process, still healing.
Listen, and how many years
it's still listening too.
Yes. It's obedience, listening, healing, doing all of the things, all of the work that is going to take in order for you to get to the next level. Those are keys. I use that analogy all the time. Those are keys that's going to unlock the doors. Those doors that we may say, okay, I want this, and I want to be here, and I want to be there. But God is saying, until you go through the process, right? Until you use the keys that I'm giving you on the right doors, because we're like janitors. We're like janitors. We have a ring full of keys, but we're using them at the wrong door. And we're trying to figure out, why does it feel like God is locking me out? He's not
You
locking you out.
used
He's
to that
giving
door,
you
you're gonna keep
access.
walking through it.
What'd you say?
You got comfortable walking through that same door.
We get comfortable walking through the same door. You're absolutely right. The door color may change, but it's the same door. The enemy will come and paint the door a different color to trip us up, to make us think that we are going into a different direction, but it's the same location. It's just covered up with a different color paint. That is what the enemy will do. So when we're placed into these positions where we're attempting to heal and we're attempting to be whole and understand and trust God, the enemy will come. And you know what? Sometimes we can't blame the enemy, David. Self. We self-sabotage many times, right? I might go and change my hairstyle to make y'all think I'm a different person. Oh, look at her. She doing it, right? But it's going to be so much greater than that. Like, we have to start inside out. Inside out.
Yep. Too prideful to put your hands up and ask for some help.
Say that again.
Too prideful to put your hands up and ask for some help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And we have to be okay with asking for help. I struggled with that for some years, and I still have a touch of it. Like, that's one of my flaws. Like, it's hard for me to ask for help. And so what I had to do was ask myself, like, what's the derivative of that? Like, where does that come from? Why is it so hard for you to ask people for help when all you want to do is help, right? Well, sometimes, and we can use excuses or reasons, right? An excuse and a reason are two different things. So my excuse was that I don't want people to say yes, but they really want to say no. What? That's not a reason to ask for help, right? And so we put ourselves in these boxes, which hinders our growth, which hinders our connection with other people, which hinder us getting to know who God really is through people, right? We need to know who God is through people.
Yeah. You get caught up on listening to other people. You ain't even listening to what he's telling you to do. Absolutely. You know, I'll tell you something. When this started, I asked her to move and switch rooms with my son. You know, the man part talking, saying, "Hey, you're not finna be laying in the bed with me, and I can't touch you. That's ridiculous." But that wasn't me. That wasn't me. It was God all the whole time. Like, okay, to help you with this process, y'all can't stay in the same room. It ain't gonna work. Neither one of us had any place to go, so that worked. That process also started the process with the children as well. This ain't nothing to play with. Everybody in this house have to know what's going on, so we can all go through this and get through this together. Now, the benefit of trusting, we communicate now. We're co-parenting well.
Awesome.
There's still some issues, but you know, it's not depriving. You know, I can't speak for her life. I can speak for mine. You know, it's I can now concentrate on me. Yeah. And what I need to do in my relationship with God and my relationship with my son. I raised these two beautiful girls in the respect that they have for me and the respect that Chanel has for me as well. You know, and I got to remember that other people are watching as well. Friends, I can be that only Bible that somebody reads. And I always ask God to shine his light through me that others can see. Yeah. And then when you said it earlier, that just lets me know that this is working. Yeah. I'm not the angry man I used to be. Yeah. I'm not the person who's like, you know what, I'm gonna hate. I hate this. I hate this woman. No, I don't hate her. It's the mother of my. Right. That's a child of God. I had to learn all of these things throughout this process. Yeah. So the understanding part, he's still using me to do other things. And if I
Absolutely.
just stay stuck right here, I ain't gonna never reach those needs.
That's it. That's it. That's good. And we oftentimes we get comfortable. Somebody said that earlier. Somebody posted, commented about being comfortable. And sometimes we perfect one thing in our lives, right? And then we will claim being healed and whole. But one thing that I learned
Mm-hmm.
is that I was amazing in this one compartment, right? I did a lot of work to make sure that my children didn't suffer, from the decisions that their dad and I made. And I was great at it. But then I learned that I was still suffering in other areas of my life, right? And sometimes you don't know that you're still suffering or you're still broken. I'm going to use that word. Sometimes we don't know that we're still broken until we put in a position to respond broken or healed, right? And so there were so many things that began to happen in my life. I started dating again, I just started being more active with Make It Rise, just a whole bunch of things that I was doing, conversations that I was having that showed me, ooh, Tam, you still have work to do in that area, right? And I had to ask myself, why do you feel like that? Like, what is that? Well, that is you not completely healing, and you healing over here and using the healing in this compartment for everything in your life, which is not true. And so I put up a great facade. The people thought that I was doing better than I really was doing. And honestly, when we are honest with ourselves and with God, the people will see the growth. They'll see the movement. They'll see you going through the journey and not she just arrived. Because that's what it looked like for me. Like, wow, how did
Right.
you do that? Right. And that was like, that fed my ego. So I didn't really give myself an opportunity to pause for a minute and really tap into those broken pieces until, a year or two later. And so here I am
Mm-hmm.
now, given the task to reach my arm out, my hands out, and touch women all over the place and say, listen, we got to get healed and we have to be whole before we can step into new relationships. I had to learn that myself. And so even for you guys, the men, that's why I asked you all, I'm like, we need to hear this from the men's lens about healing and about being whole and the process and the journey, trusting, understanding, which is what you and I are talking about tonight. Trusting God, regardless to what it looked like. And I'm asking you, before you really began to trust God, like wholeheartedly, weren't there some things or were there some things that looked like there was no hope, but you still had to trust God?
Yes. And that's the words that came out of my mouth, how I still felt about her. Don't fake the funk. You can love somebody, but if you really don't want to be with them anymore, then you have to make that choice to stick to that. That don't mean that you can't function. Like we have children, so we still got to function in that way. But my heart is in a different direction. It ain't on nobody else. I can no longer care what are you finna do with yours. I have to concentrate on mine. And that's a very difficult task you can't, there's no light switch to turn on and off.
No, it's not.
And
I wish it was.
man,
I wish it
it's like
was.
plug it in and take it out the plug and keep on going, but it don't work that way. Man, this heart done been beat too many times and I'm tired.
But here's the thing. It didn't it wasn't a light switch to turn on when we began to love the person, right? It took time. It was a process. There were some things that happened. So we can't say that when the end of the road, when we meet the end of the road in a relationship, we want to immediately shut it off because of the feeling
Man,
that we have, right? If I could blink and be over this person, then it would be easy to fall in love with the next person, right? So when we are single, when we are going through separation and divorce, it's like a tear, right? It's like someone ripping something apart, and that's not a good feeling, because you're trying to still, there's still life around that thing. You're still trying to be an effective parent. You're still trying to be an effective business owner or employee or coworker or daughter, son. There's still other parts of your life that you still have to live in, right? Just because this one thing is happening doesn't mean the world gets to stop for us.
And try to figure out how to be your friend. I want to be your friend. What we friends for?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like this. No.
No friendship.
We go back to understanding, trusting, and what it really means.
Yeah.
Man, if you don't understand what it means, then you're just gonna stay jacked up. And I didn't want to stay jacked up.
I looked the words up. I'm glad you said that. I looked up trust. I looked up understanding, and then I looked up process, just to use the words that the dictionary say, because we will give our we will give our meaning to these words. Sometimes it is dead on, but many times it's according to our experience. But when I looked up trust, it says firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something, right? So a firm belief in something or someone. And in our case, it's God. We had to really, we have to really trust him. It doesn't
Can you hear
end.
me? You all broke up.
What about now? Trusting him should never end. It's a process. It's a journey, right? We have to maintain. Even if we set a goal, we reach it. You don't say, okay, I'm here, I'm done, I'm good. No, you have to maintain. And maintaining looks like what? Continuing to do work. I don't know if that's his. Can you guys hear me? Or is it mine that broke? Am I still going, Mel? I think you're there. Am I still on? But I'm talking about trusting, and we're talking about trusting and understanding God's process. And when we trust God, we have to trust him regardless to what it looks like, regardless to what it feels like, regardless to what it sounds like. We have to trust God. And many times we have to trust him before we even understand why we are going through what we're going through. I had to trust God while I was going through my separation and divorce. And here we are 5 years later, and I'm understanding, right? I'm understanding because of where he had me today. And I can only imagine that he still has not shown me every reason as to why I had to experience that. So, David, I was saying how, oftentimes we want to understand the why to the what, and it's not time yet. And God is saying, just trust me.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were first when you began, the process of divorce, was it challenging? And I may have asked you this, but was it challenging for you to just trust God? Like, just trust him, regardless to what you saw, regardless to what you heard.
It for me, it wasn't hard trusting God. It was hard trusting the waiting of the process, because sometimes I get in the mode where I want something right here, right now. Can this just be over? But it's hard to forgive and forget too. So to try not to be angry and hate a person,
that's too much energy.
Yeah, but you have to do it.
But you said to try. I thought you were saying to try not to forgive, but you're saying like trying not to hate them, like trying to be good, with them, trying to move forward, trying to forgive, and all those things. Yes,
it's easy to say these words. It's easy to say these words, but it's much harder to do it.
That's why I say it's work. It's work, and that's the process.
Then when you pray, are you praying with your mouth, or are you praying with your heart? because
That's
that's
good.
going to help. That's going to help the process as well.
Break
You
that
know,
down for us. What do you mean when you say, "Are you praying with your heart or are you praying with your mind, with your mouth?"
you can say, "Lord, help me." Do you really mean it?
Mm-hmm.
Because He will.
Mm-hmm.
Strengthen me. Do you really mean it?
Mm-hmm.
Because He will.
Mm-hmm.
Shade my eyes so I can only see the good things of life. He
Yeah.
can do that for you. He can do anything you ask Him.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna bring that word again. Trust. You gotta trust Him because it's a process of where you're gonna get to it.
Yeah.
But are you willing to wait and see what the result's gonna be just by you trusting Him?
Right. Right.
Very powerful word. You
It
know,
is.
um, and we by influence as well. So
Mm.
what else is important is if you listen, He's going to surround certain people to help you get through it. He
Mm-hmm.
gave 20 good people, and I counted them 20,
Wow.
21, 23. They was outside that circle,
Wow. 20.
and 20. So different aspects of life, different aspects of, and there never was no bashing. It was just supportiveness.
Yeah.
And then one person was not where he needed to be with God, but he gave me some valuable information to help me understand to just stay steadfast of being a man.
Yeah.
Sit here and beat yourself up. If you felt you did the right thing, then you did the right thing. So just stand up and just be a man, and you got to get through this. Because he kept reminding me, Junior watching you.
Yeah.
Junior watching you. So what you gonna do?
Right.
So I love that word trust because I'm still growing in the area. And
Yeah.
when I get so confident to where I can just start telling people like you can do it. It's that simple.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
gotta make that choice. The other powerful word is choice. When
Yeah.
you make that choice to
Because
do it, then God does the rest. It makes it that much
absolutely.
easier for everything. It's not just
Absolutely.
even not going off the subject, but it's not just for divorce, it's for life, period.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Not just for divorce. Absolutely. It's for life in general. I do agree with that. And I agree with you. Like you said something earlier that one of your 20 was, you said it wasn't with where, his life wasn't with God the way the others were. Let's say that.
Yeah.
I thank you for listening to him, although he wasn't as connected with God as the others. Because sometimes we be so holy that we don't want to hear anything from people who don't read the Bible every day, and they have wisdom
Mm-hmm.
as well. So you have to be mindful of the company that you keep. And you do have to be mindful of who you allow to pour into your vessel. Yes. But
Mm-hmm.
what I will say that not everyone is going to be on the same level as you are as a Christian. And it doesn't mean that you can't receive something from them. I learn from my children all the time, right? It's not
Yeah.
because I'm mama, I'm right and you're wrong. No, we can learn something from a baby. So thank you for
Mm-hmm.
even being available to that and sharing that he wasn't this man that was so, walking the straight and narrow, but he was a man that shared some good information with
Yeah.
you, and you use that.
Yeah. God gave him the right words to say to me.
Yeah.
And it took me to do like my other one of the other 30 was my sister, and that was God told her to tell me to be quiet and listen. And when I shared that with other people, they was like, you know what? Sometimes I need to learn how to be quiet too.
So important.
It's
I
not
can
just
hear
for
you
me.
while you're talking.
He using me to tell other people like, why are we not listening? He's talking to us every day, all day. But we running our mouths so much we don't even understand that he just told us something. We might hear it later on, but he just told you something just now.
Mm-hmm.
Now are you going to act on it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's good. Listening is very important. It's key. Listening and hearing is key, because how can I hear what God is saying to me, whether it's through Him or Him sending people to me? How can I hear it if
Mm-hmm.
I'm too busy trying to get my point across? How can I hear it if I'm too busy trying to make sure that you know that I said I did the right thing? It wasn't me, it was her, it was him. Because we're
Yeah,
quick to
the
point
blame
the
game.
finger.
The
Yeah,
blame game.
yeah, and that started way back in Genesis, with Adam and Eve. When he said it, that woman you gave me, that was the
Yeah,
first act of passing the buck, right? So we think there's so many new things on this earth today and things that just started. We go to our word and the examples are there, right? The examples are there. But so that was trust, and then understanding. It says comprehension and being aware of having insight, being aware of and having insight. So do you think you have an understanding of what and why God was doing and allowing you to go through today? Like, do you think you understand that now?
I understand it more than I did.
That's good.
I'm still in the learning process because I had to find out that it's not just for me. This is for, and you're already in the act of it. It's just one day I'm gonna have to share this story to help somebody else, and and they won't have to learn the personal part of it without me sharing that with everybody here. There's
Mm-hmm.
some personal things that happen as well that, like, people could tell you, like, you know what, I can't do that. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Who you trusting?
Yeah. Back to that
Who
word.
who you trusting? Because we'll talk one day, and then you'll be like, wow, how did you? Because I did. I trusted God.
And
He changed
that's
he
most
changed my
important.
whole perspective of it. And you know, um, do I like it? No, I don't wish this up on nobody.
Yeah.
But it's something to be learned out of it. And if you don't learn it, then that means you're not listening. And I'm sorry to say you.
Don't be sorry. Look, don't be sorry, because I say all the time that we have to be students and teachers in this thing called life. You have to be a student so that you can teach the lesson that you've learned, and you have to be you have to be a teacher, sorry, so that you can teach those lessons that you've learned. And you have to be a student, meaning you're open and available and willing to learn, in the things that God may allow you to go through, or that He either send you through or He allow you to go through. One thing that's very encouraging to me is that I know that nothing, and I mean nothing, can happen in my life unless God gives the permission. So whether
There
God
you go.
sends it or the enemy sends it, it can't happen unless God gives permission. So when God gives permission, I'm reminded of the story of Job. When God gives permission, it's because I know that my child is going to be able to handle that. She'll be able to, she'll be strong enough to get through that thing. I know what she have in her, right? So that in itself makes me grateful. Like, thank you, Lord, for trusting me with what you've put in me, right? Sometimes we act like we don't know how to execute them things.
Mm-hmm.
It's in there. Everything that we need is in us or right at our fingertips, right? And sometimes we're, as you said earlier, too afraid to ask for help. The things that are right at our fingertips. We can sometimes be so much further along in our journey, but we were afraid to go and talk to somebody. We were afraid to say, "Hey, how did you do that?" We were afraid to do it, trust it, and then try to do it for ourselves, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
we don't want to look a certain way. We don't want to look weak. We don't want to look like we don't know what we're doing. So we'll just try it on our own and we'll fail, 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 fail. And that's where the enemy wants us to be, stuck, because he's intimidated by anything that's going to bring God glory. So I always tell the people that I talk to, let's keep intimidating the enemy. When you get up in the morning, have a goal to intimidate the enemy, which means
Mm-hmm.
let's do God. Let's
And
do
God
God.
is God is free. God is free.
Yeah.
And what is free, all you have to do is accept it. That's the only way you can get something free. You have to accept it. And God is free all day.
What did you say? All day. All day, God is
All day. He's free.
all day, definitely, definitely.
And the only way to get something free is the only thing you got to do to get it free is accept it.
That's
He
good.
got it for you all day long. Whatever you need.
So the last word that I looked up was process. And it says that it is a series of actions, changes, or steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. I'm going to say that again because that was powerful. It's a series of actions, like not just one thing. It's a whole bunch of stuff going on, a series, many things. They look different in different areas of your life. So you may have to go through something with your children. You may have to go through something at your job. You may have to go through something with your husband, your wife, your friends, your mother, your father, your pastor, right? It's a series of actions.
You got it.
It says changes or steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. So we set up these goals, right? This is what I want. And since we're talking about this is relationship and divorce and all that, okay, I've gotten healed, I've gotten whole. I want a man that does this, he have that, and he loves me like Christ loves the church, and he's considerate. All of these things we want to say that we want in a man or a woman or a job or a career. But we forget the process. We forget the work that it's going to take in order for us to get there. We can't just blink like I'm Genie and arrive, because the lesson is in the meat, which is in the process. It's in the middle of getting to, right? There's going to be some bumps in the road. There are going to be some holes in the road, right? And you just might fall. Listen, even if you fall, that's a part of the process. It had to happen. What can you extract from the fall? Right? If
There's be some familiar things to come back to.
Absolutely.
Those familiar things.
Absolutely. And so sometimes what I've learned is that even when we run into some familiar things, we act like we've never experienced it before. So we find ourselves doing the same thing all over again. And God is like, what are we doing?
Good.
What are we doing?
Avoiding the process.
And staying stuck.
Yeah.
Because if you're not learning, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're not going, right? And if you're not going, then you're not able to reap everything that God has for you on the other side of what I always say, that door, right? God is not going to allow us to go on the other side of the door to experience what's on the other side of the door if we have not shown and proven to him that we can handle it. He's not going to set us up like that. Now, that would be the enemy that does that make us feel like we got it all together, put us in a position where there's things happening and it's like, whoa, what do I do with this? No, God is going to equip us, right? He's not going to give us access to things until he equip us to handle it. Right. So here we are divorced, living life after divorce. But in this process, God is equipping us for some stuff that we don't even know is coming, but we have to see it before we see it. That means we have to have the faith that whatever it is we're asking God for, he's going to give it to us in due time. But there's work that we must do in the process.
Be careful not to recycle self-sabotage.
I was going to say, well, what do you want to leave the people with? And there it is there. Be careful not to recycle self-sabotage. Okay. Stop doing it. Right?
We do it to ourselves. That's self-sabotage. Yeah. If you're going to keep recycling it, it ain't going to never go nowhere. You can throw that stuff in the trash and don't dig it back out. Do not dig it back out.
Recycle.
Change you.
Recycle.
That's the ending meaning is did you change yourself? Because don't walk that into another relationship, because it's going to be the same thing Just
Wow.
recycle.
Wow. The recycled you. That's a good word right there, David. That's a good word. The recycled you. Don't give the old you to the new person because you're going to experience the same thing just with the new person.
Yeah. Different resistance.
That's good. That's real good. She said, there it is. Don't recycle. That's Kim says, don't recycle. Mel Holly, she says, avoiding the process keep you stuck. Yeah. Avoiding the process keeps you stuck because God wants us to get the lesson, right? He wants us to get the lesson. But if we aren't getting the lesson, he's like, well, you got to go back through it. You got to take the test again. Maybe I need to reteach you.
Yeah, you ask for it again.
You ask for it again.
Hey, like you said, you're giving that list again. Be careful with the list that you put back out there again, because he's going to give it to you again.
Absolutely.
You got to remember what you were supposed to do at the beginning with yourself. When I don't mean nothing harmful with this word, but when he freed you to do you.
Yeah.
Did you accomplish that before you walked into something else?
Yeah, oftentimes we don't. Oftentimes we don't. We walk in still shackled, right?
Mm-hmm. Lonely. Trying to cure lonely.
Yeah. Trying to cure lonely. How do you cure lonely? Right? And people think you cure lonely by adding another person to the equation instead of adding God, so that
that void was supposed to be filled with God. There you go. It was supposed that void was supposed to be filled with God.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's good. So we are coming up on an hour. Is there anything else that you'd like to leave with the viewers?
Love.
Love.
Love. That's how I'm gonna end it. Love.
That's good. And we know that God is
never
love.
That's a never ending word. It's love. Just love.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Well, I want to thank you once again for coming on and sharing. As I told you, like, I just wanted to be real natural flowing, nothing, too stiff, because that is not my platform. So I thank you for just doing just that, just being you. And
I avoided personal. Didn't need, it's understandable. But I appreciate the opportunity to be able to share where God has brought me and where he's sending me to.
Yeah, that's
it's still not over.
I love it. I love it. Well, blessings to you and all that you have coming your way. I will be praying for you, your process, your journey. Please pray for mine, because as I said, you never arrive, and even if you think you have arrived, then my question after that is, so what are you doing to maintain your arrival, right? So there's still work to do. You can't stop working, because when you stop working, it stopped working. So I want to leave that with the viewers. Gotcha. I love you guys. Thank you again for coming on. In a couple of weeks, we have another gentleman that's coming on that is going to share some goodies with us. I'm so excited. Let me just say this before I end. I'm excited that the men are like, oh, me, teacher. I want to go. My turn. I want to jump in. That is amazing to me. I feel like, guys, because men don't, they usually don't do this type of thing. I mean, I know some who will, but it's not often. So I say thank you to the men that are sharing their hearts, their minds, their process, their journeys, their experience. I say that emotions do not have gender, right? And we need to know that. Women need to know that. We need to stop making the men feel like they shouldn't share how they feel, what they've gone through, because what that is doing is helping us, right? As you men are sharing with us, you're teaching us what it is that you need. So we're so quick to say, I want to feed your need. I want to serve your need. I want to give your need. But we aren't giving you the opportunity to share your need, because society and our mamas and our grandmamas and great grandmamas have told us that you get a man, if he's crying, he's a punk. Like, are you a mouse or a man, right? Get up. You don't get to show those emotions. So we become grown adults saying the same thing and teaching the same thing to our young men. And then we want to get mad when they don't communicate with us. But we've told y'all to shut up. Come on now. We got to get better, ladies. And I thank you to the men that have come on and those that are going to come on. So again, David, thank you so much. I love you.
You're welcome.
Viewers.
Love you too.
Yes, I know you do. We will talk soon. And you guys, make sure you share, like, share, comment. Send this to other men. Share it on your page. This is something that needs to be heard. All right. We'll see you soon. Have a good one.
All right. Peace.